G'day and welcome to In the Back Pocket. A massive round of footy, a lot of punting, a lot of bets getting up, a few bets not getting up, but for a majority of us, and when I say a majority, I mean all of us, our accountability bets all won. Nobody faltered at all. The pigs, the entire barn was fed this week.
These are the bets that we have. If you're going to have one bet over the weekend, this is the one bet we have. And I spoke about Isaiah Pickett. Don't take him for goals. He didn't kick any, but he ended up with 26 disposals. He was a good price for 22. Starting to wish I took him for 23 or 24 now.
Yeah, and I like the 5 for Jez. He kicked 6, but I thought he might not sort of go as big as people were expecting over the weekend. So there's a look at our totals as well. Mine's been fed well the last couple of weeks.
You have been premium
tight at the top.
Premium feed. And you, of course, you were pretty calm and relaxed that Lachie Neale hadn't kicked any goals at one point in the game, weren't you, in the WhatsApp group?
Well, I thought team structure would take over and Geelong would refuse to buy into the 100-goal thing, and at half-time they were giving him everything, and I did suggest that maybe no one else in the Geelong forward line was going to kick any, but
I could see him. I was at the GMHBA Stadium, so we're about 4 commentary boxes along, and he was stressing. Every time he go near it, he'd sit there, and then he'd get flat, and he was upset that Jeremy Cameron was getting all the ball, and it turned out okay for you.
Yeah, it was a good bet.
Hey, what about the side bet as well? Because you gave us what was a fantastic bet. If you didn't want to take the D's head-to-head, you could take him $1.55 to kick the first goal. Now, there was a couple of behinds. No one had Viney, but you got the win on this one. You get an extra $10 this week.
Yeah, well, this one was the saving grace, really. I thought that West Coast might kick the first goal when Liam Ryan did that. So thank you to Liam Ryan for that one. But it was Melksham who I ended up having to kick the first goal in this game. He got it through. So I think I get a $20 best bet next week for our bets of the week. So I'll be able to outlay 20 on that one to try and get a little bit more feed through the pig.
Are you going to have 20 or are you going to split it up
Well,
out
I think
10-10?
we were speaking pre-show and it had to be a $20 bet rather than 2 10s for the sake of the graphics that we've created.
Okay.
So may as well just go 20.
Hamstrung.
Yeah.
It was a graphics issue with hamstrung. What about the Sunday best bets multi? That one got it. We were on fire across the week. I don't know why we're acting surprised because this is such a regular thing.
We are a betting show, so you'd hope that we get something up, but that is
$5.70.
as good as it gets. So I can't sort of make head or tail of that, but it looks good.
But Cameron right now is still the watch right now. He is still chasing the 100 goals. And most likely it's going to happen in the final series, depending how far they go. But coming up again, Essendon in the near future, you can see that they are actively hunting him out.
Yep. Giving the ball, and he is happy to accept anything at the moment, getting around the back of them. I didn't think he played that well in this game. I thought Lachie Jones did a really good job. He got 3 around the back. In that third quarter where they kicked all their goals, he didn't really go near it, but he still kicked 6 and he's still a live chance. And that market that we've been talking about is into $2.75. So it continues. It's not a market I want to bet into. It seems dangerous to bet your money on that, but...
Well, the hard thing is, if you think that Geelong are going to make a decent run in the finals, it's a good market. If you don't believe in Geelong as a team, there's no point taking it. But if they do make a run, I think at a prelim, he could get this.
Yeah, and like I said, watching that game live, they were clearly, it wouldn't have been verbalised pre-game, but the players could sense the moment. Danger especially looked to me like he was looking for Jez at every opportunity. So he'll kick a couple of bags in the run home. Goals are harder to come by in finals, so I wouldn't be expecting the 5 and 6s in finals.
Yeah,
but I reckon he can get close.
Probably less than 6 to go for the finals if they're going to play 2 finals, because you feel like the one trying to look for him goes completely away in finals football, and 2, clearly a lot harder of a matchup with the teams that he'll come up against. But, yeah, I think it's a possibility, absolutely.
What about just in the Coleman medal? Jeremy Cameron is so far ahead that Sportsbet has now paid out the original market for the Coleman medal. So if you took the futures on Jeremy Cameron at the start of the year or throughout the year, that one is paid out, and we've got a new market up for the Coleman medal without Jeremy Cameron in there. Is there any value you see in here? Aaron Norton's starting to play some really good footy and some good games coming up where he could kick it back. Aaron
Norton is the one that I think in this market, purely for his form. So in the since round 14, pre the 6 goals on Sunday that JEZZA kicked, him and Jeremy Cameron actually kicked the same amount of goals since round 14. You look at the fixture for Norton, he's got Melbourne at the MCG, West Coast at Marvel, which anything could happen in that game for the Bulldogs, and Fremantle at Marvel, which is going to be a tough matchup, but you feel like there's a lot on the line, so they'll need goals in that game.
50th goal on the weekend, didn't he?
Yep.
So too did Mitch Georgiades, I think. Mitch Georgiades, $10. Obviously got some harder games against him, but still $10 compared to in the 3s. It's a big difference.
Certainly is. What about Collingwood? Are we worried? just showing a little bit of a wobble towards the back end of the season here. Are you very concerned? Mildly concerned? Not concerned at all?
Well, yeah, no, I would be concerned. I mean, look, they're clearly, their best is extraordinary, but on the weekend I thought they were thoroughly outplayed by, albeit arguably, the best team in the competition. But you look at their fixture run on the way home, and I could see a world where they miss out on the 4, and who's to say that doesn't be hugely detrimental. I mean, they could end up playing Western Bulldogs or somebody.
Like a Collingwood hater to me.
Yeah, well, I am.
I've never heard you say anything positive about Collingwood.
Well, as soon as there's anything positive to say, I will say it. I played against them enough to know that there's not much to like. But
Collingwood hater.
I think the fixtures.
He comes from another country and he still hates Collingwood.
It's amazing.
It's just ingrained in people.
I thought it was an Aussie thing to grow up hating Collingwood, but clearly it crosses the board.
The fixtures are set up in such a way that Bulldogs game with Freo at the end is going to have so much riding on it. It's actually going to be a fun watch, but I think they're in danger of missing the 4.
I think there's a genuine spot in the top 4 that's potentially up for grabs here. And my concern around Collingwood is their midfield balance. They got completely dominated through that midfield with... I don't know if they've worked out what their best inside mids look like. They've got so many players that can play wing or inside mid. Pendlebury, Crisp, they look better with them in there, but they've shifted them out to the wings to give other players more time through there. So just with 3 rounds to go, that's something that's very vital to your team, and still trying to get that balance right concerns me. I think the Gold Coast Suns are the team that jump into the 4. We all know they have an extra game in hand. They're playing Carlton, GWS, but that is at home on the Gold Coast. Then they've got Port Adelaide and Essendon. I think they are the ones that could jump into that top 4 spot. At $1.80 though, there's not a whole lot of value in it when you're relying on other results as well. Yeah. They get those jobs done, but you still need other results to go your way. But I think they are the team that jumps into the top 4.
If the Western Bulldogs don't make it, it is a travesty. And I think they do make it. They're $18 for the Premiership at the moment. I still think if they make it, they can win the Premiership. I think they've got a game and an attacking game. They just need to tinker with the defence a bit, and they look sensational against the Giants. The Giants were awful, but I still think that there could be a fairy tale in the Western Bulldogs.
And you're not concerned about their record against sort of upper echelon teams?
It's a poor record, I'll give you that. They've beaten nobody apart from the Giants, but they've been within 4 goals of them all. So it's been small margins. You need to tinker a little bit. Can they tinker? I don't know. I think Luke Beveridge is a very good coach. They've got the best players in the game. Defensively, they're not as good, but I can see a world where there's a fairy tale.
What about the Pies coming up against the Hawks this week? The Pies, as you said, need to get back on track and they need to do it soon. A win over the Hawks, $1.61, not too bad.
Collingwood will win this game. Will Day, he is their spiritual leader, he is their actual leader, their physical leader, and without him, I don't think they can win. They've shown that over the last 18 months. When Will Day's out, Hawthorn can't compete.
Yeah, the area of the ground that I talked about, the midfield, Hawthorn, unfortunately not great in that area without Will Day. So if they had a strong midfield coming into this one, you'd think they had a chance. The area I think they can get them in is with their tall forwards. We saw what Brisbane did to them. Billy Frampton played VFL last week. He's probably ready to come back in. Still no Jeremy Howe as well. I would support them in sort of picking that 3, if not 4 key tools again to try and stretch Collingwood in that area of the ground. That's the only hope I sort of give them.
I think the 4 tools didn't not work.
Yeah.
I thought the first quarter was outstanding, and then it was 17 inside 50s to 8, and then another 17 inside 50s to 9 in the last quarter. They just didn't get it down there. So I thought it worked okay without Kelsey Deer getting a fair bit of the football. But if Marbia Cholmis is out in that team, I'd be shocked.
Hawthorn, they're a very streaky team, which I actually thought that would not be the case coming into this season. So you know their best is like electrifying. But they've blown teams out of the water in first quarter. And then from that point on, they've had a few games where it's basically been neck and neck with teams you would expect them to really put a big margin on. Still think they're best. I think they could cause an upset this week. Probably wouldn't expect to with the loss of Will Day. But their best, if they catch fire, is very good.
My betting takeaway of the weekend was your back Lachie Neale at the MCG. He loves the MCG. I told you, the games at the MCG this year, 4 of his last 5, he's averaging 35 at the MCG, and you're offering up $3.04 to get 30 disposals. Yes, please.
You going again this week?
On Lachie Neale? Where does he play?
That's probably going to be
the
the issue.
MCG.
I realised that as I threw it out
no.
there. He's probably not going to be there. What about during finals? You still reckon he's going to step up? He's that type of player.
If he plays at the MCG, absolutely. I'll back him at the MCG. I'll back history until history changes. And Lachie Neale loves the MCG. Stop asking me stupid questions.
Well, I'll stop asking you stupid questions when you give me who's hot and who's not.
Let's have a look at who's not and who's not. I like to replay it in my head. Patrick Voss, he is hot. 3 of 3. Ollie Wines, 4 of 4 at 25. The Sergeant, he's going well, 4 of 5. And Will Ashcroft, 8 of 10 at 25. He is hot at the moment. And when there's hot, there is not. And Dane Zorko, or Zane Dorko, whichever way you like to call him, 2 of his last 5, he cost me a multi on the weekend. Jesse Hogan, none of his last 4. Luke Davies-Uniacke and the Guinea. Too many fingers going up, Guinea. 1 of the last 5, 2
Gotta
plus.
pull one out by the looks of it.
Yes, pull one out of your backside, Jack.
I'm slightly disappointed, Brownie. What
That's
you
a
did
Thursday
last
thing.
week. Oh, it's going to be a Thursday. Okay, he has got more time to prep on a Thursday.
That's a
all right.
Thursday.
Yeah. No,
We'll take it for Thursday then.
I pre-warned him and said, save your best gear for Thursday, and that's going to be all across Fox Sports and YouTube. But it's time for the Market Movers. Let's kick this one off. The Premiership. Is anyone biting on any of the nice little bits of bait put out?
I've already told you that I don't mind the Western Bulldogs at $18. $18 for me. They're not even on the page. That's how bad they're going.
I think Adelaide clearly the mover in that one, with Collingwood being pushed out as well. I think what we saw from Adelaide on the weekend was a show that they have genuine depth there. So Hugh Bond comes into the team. Most of you say, who's Hugh Bond? That's because he hasn't played a game this year. He comes in, absolutely nothing wrong with his performance. So you need good offence, you need good defence, and you also need depth in your squad to win a premiership. Adelaide showed that they have all three.
What about the rising star market, Zach? I know that you're all over the rookies in the league. Who are you liking here?
Well, what about the price difference now between Dan Curtin and everybody else?
Yeah.
He was $1 million to 1 about 6 weeks ago, so he seems to be an unbackable favourite. Murphy Reid, I have to admit, about 10 weeks into the season, I didn't think Murphy Reid would be in the running for this, but he's been remarkably consistent, and we talked about the likeness to a certain Rioli at this stage of his career as well.
I still think the way these things are voted, I wouldn't mind a small play on Levi Ashcroft, but let's have a look at your Brownlow tracker.
Nick Daicos did not vote in the Brownlow tracker this week, but I gave Noah Anderson 3 in mine. I gave Jordan Dawson 3 and Nazai Wanganeen-Miller. Look at that move. Look at his last 7 weeks. Outstanding. Caleb Sarong, I don't think he would have got votes, so he's dropping off at the moment. Only had the 19 disposals. Smith wouldn't have voted yesterday, in my opinion. Then you got Max Gawn, who has had a really good year. Max Gawn, Rosie and Merritt not voting according to my Brownlow tracker.
Cannot wait until, because where we get the real advantage of your Brownlow tracker, it's not just the win, but it's the team votes, all of that sort of stuff. Because you've got a fantastic track record with this one. A very big brain. Well, there is a lot. There's a bit of forehead there, so I'm hoping there's a bit of brain behind that. But you're still keen on Noah Anderson. Yeah,
and Brownie's Brownlow tracker, I'm enjoying that one this week. Obviously, Nick Daicos had an off week, but Noah Anderson gets
pretty
the
well
3.
though,
I
Nick
rate
Daicos.
that.
He's judged harshly.
Someone who never has an off week, Daniel Hoyney. Daniel Hoyney, the best in the business from Champion Data. Now, you've come for Nick Daicos before, and then you softened up a little bit. You're coming for another player who you're not coming for them. You're hyping them up, but once again, you have to drag Nick Daicos into it while you do it.
I love Nick, and I think Nick will be the second best player that I see in my time. So just put that on the agenda.
Who's the best?
Oh, no one gets past Gary Jr.
Yeah, there we
go. But we've got a new player in town.
Who?
Hugh Daicos. Is his name? Hugh Daicos. So there's not a player in this competition who gets spoken about more than Nick Daicos, right? Everywhere you go, every team that comes up against him, it's Nick Daicos, Nick Daicos. What are you going to do here? Are you going to tag him? Are you going to tag him or not? Hugh McCluggage and what he is doing this season is identical in so many ways to what Nick Daicos does. And yet I can guarantee you the amount of times Fags would have been asked about Hugh Daicos this year, or Hugh McCluggage this year, and what a team's going to do with him, would be so far under compared to what Craig McRae gets asked about Nick and what opposition coaches get asked about Nick. And half-time in that game on the weekend, as good as Daicos was, he was unbelievable. But on the flip side, this guy hardly got spoken about. He had 20 touches at half-time, involved in close to 6 to 7 scores at half-time. What he is doing at clearance, only Bontempelli is more influential at clearance than what this guy is on the competition this season. He's on track to have the best score assist season of all time. Right? That kick there that you just saw to Cam Rayner, that is stuff that Nick can do, but this guy can do. And I think, as well as what Lachie Neale is going at the moment, This guy is their number one player, and this guy is the one that is cutting the competition to pieces and needs to be treated and discussed in the same conversations as the industry does when it comes to Nick Daicos.
Did you watch the Sunday Footy show yesterday? I did that whole spiel yesterday. I feel like you've just ripped off some of my gear, and she's done it on Saturday night. But we're a team.
But you know what? That makes me feel so good.
But also, I hope no one watches this, so no one starts to tag the success that they're having.
About the clearances. For so long, he was a wingman. He wasn't allowed to go in there. They didn't think that he could cope. They didn't think he was an inside player because normally he was an outside player. He's gone in there. Similar to Dawson at half-back, you throw him in there. Heaney was always half-forward. So you always got to look at where else can we play players? Where can we maximise the benefit of this player?
And it's the tackles that has really ramped up this season for Hugh McCluggage. And he speaks post-game around Dunkley and Neale and their effect on him at the Lions to be able to roll up the sleeves and play a really important defensive role through the midfield. So, yes, he can attack, but he also lays tackles. He also wins his own footy. He is the ultimate midfielder in the game at the moment.
Yep. He's a 2025 player. We talk about 2025 footy being how you use it over how you win it. That's what makes him so good.
Yeah, he's threatened to have this type of season for quite some time. I think he's one of the best players, probably the best player in the competition to not yet have an All-Australian. When you look at the body of work he's put together over the last 4 or 5 years, I think people have suspected for a while he'd be a star inside mid. Getting that exposure now, he's shown he's clearly one of the best in the comp.
You bring us week in, week out, these sort of underrated players that don't get the credit that some others do. A vast majority of the time, would you agree that it is the non-Victorian club players that just sneak under the radar? Because if you play for one of the big dogs and you play well, you're up on a pedestal. But a lot of these guys that play in these somewhat smaller markets, that's where we're seeing this type of stuff.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time too, a lot of these players are victims of their own high standards for periods of time that we almost just get used to what they've done, and that's the bar that we're actually judging him to, as opposed to judging him against the rest of the competition. And we're all waiting to see if there's going to be an upset on the way home that's going to cause all manner of carnage. And probably the reality is that it is probably Sydney that is the one that could do that. And they've got 8 quarters coming up against Brisbane and Geelong to cause carnage on the top 8. And what Nick Blakey is doing this year, I think, has not been discussed anywhere near at the level that it should have, probably because they are where they are at 10th spot on the ladder. What he is doing this year is identical to what he did last year. It's similar to what he did in 2022 when they made a grand final, and it's almost identical to what he did in 2023 when they played in a final series. So all Australian conversations are coming up, with 3 weeks to go. I don't know if this guy has been thrown up into consideration to play across that halfback area. Yes, I understand that there is so many, good players that are vying for that role, but this guy has had a season that is up there with the best. And if they are to cause carnage to the Swans over the next 8 quarters against Brisbane and Geelong, what this guy does in that period of time is going to be critical.
Huge numbers over 4 years, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you look at that.
Yeah.
They're huge numbers.
And
could he make the All-Australian as a key defender, though? Because he does play key defence.
Well, I don't know what you guys think. I would have thought the key defensive posts are probably the 2 hardest posts to actually fill this year. So it might be a different year where they go, a different way.
Well, Nazaya has one half-back flank. You've probably got
Daicos.
Jordan Clark, Josh Daicos, Bailey Dale, around those
I
players.
think he's
Walko's in that conversation.
I think he'll be a victim of the success that the Swans have failed to have this year, unfortunately, which have no bearing on the All-Australian, but they're the teams that get sort of the primetime fixtures. They're talked about more. They're considered more valuable because they go towards winning more games, whereas Nick Blakey can contribute and they still haven't quite got over the line, but he's done all he could. So I think he will be a little bit of a victim of the Swans not having the success that they had last year.
Yeah, and just to put those ratings into conversation, so for a 4-year period to rate like that, you're talking players like Marcus Bontempelli, and that's almost about it. That has done that for a 4-year straight period.
Collingwood. They're coming for him online. They're telling me that they're no chance. Collywobbles. The return of the Collywobbles.
Yeah.
Are you as worried as the Twitter or the X-verse is?
I don't know what you guys think. I might be on my own island here. I don't understand the hysteria around the Collingwood and the situation that they're in at the moment. I mean, there was always going to be a period of time this season where they were going to lose a few games of footy, and the reality is they've lost 3 of their last 4. 1 by a point, 1 by a goal, and they've played the best team in the competition who were red hot on the weekend. And when you take a look at their profile over this 4-week period, importantly defensively, and we keep talking about it on this show, without the defensive profile, your game's in all sorts. fourth hardest team in the competition to score against off the back of turnover, fifth hardest team in the competition to score back off clearance. Tick, tick. So that's actually in reasonable shape. They're the D50 there, it's seventh worst defensive 50 in the competition. I'll just get to that shortly. But in that right-hand side, you see that I've got no title there.
Question marks.
Question marks.
That
We're unsure.
was their 4-week period just before the final series in 2023.
Oh, you tie it all in nicely.
Right? Where they were 16-2 on the ladder at round 18. Then they had a 4-week period where, again, they lost 3 out of 4. And I'm telling you right now, profile-wise, that 4-week period in 2023 was miles worse than what we are seeing right now.
History repeating, and you love
they
history.
gathered, they say, I love history, I back history until it changes, Brownie. But I just wonder, so I don't know, Zach, you've been part of a team in 22 that was miles ahead on top. That, to me, looking at the Collingwood team on the weekend, so Billy Frampton doesn't play, Tom Mitchell doesn't play. I think that they're part of their best team.
And Jeremy Howe as well.
And Jeremy Howe has missed 3 games of footy this year where they've lost all 3 of them, right? So I just wonder whether or not Craig McRae's looking and going, you know what, Saturday night, big game, best team in the competition. So let's take a look at you, Charlie Dean. Let's take a look at you, Ned Long, and let's see what we can do. And unfortunately for those two, probably cross. But that's okay, we had a look at you. Billy's going to come back in. Tom Mitchell can do the Ned Long role. Jeremy Howe comes back in. It's okay. It's okay to lose a couple of games. Just don't panic as much as what I think some others are actually doing. That might change in a couple of days' time. But
The question you would have, though, is in 2023, when they had this wobble just before finals, they were still clearly, up to that point, by a long way, the best team in the competition. Probably still the best team in the competition come this point of the season. But the rest of the competition feels a lot closer than it did in 2023. So, yes, they might not be wobbling as hard as they did then, but I would say Brisbane and Geelong and Adelaide are all far more competent teams now than they were in 2023, would be the concern people might have.
yeah, no, and that's fair. I think we're all in for a cracking final series. I think, once we get there, I just think big picture wise, just don't panic as much as what some others are doing.
Tell you what, if we're talking about people, late in the year starting to come into their own, you came onto this set a nervous young man. And you, over the last 4 weeks, have blossomed into like a Bert Newton-esque machine of data output. It's been fantastic.
Is Bert Newton a compliment?
I think it is. I think he's a fantastic TV presenter. We're going to be back soon with quick hands while they try to compute what I just said. Welcome back. It's time for In the Back Pocket. What are all the hot topics from round 21? Let's crack into them. You'll have a chance to answer in your own time. We started off. Collingwood cannot win the Premiership without Jeremy Howe.
That is correct. I'm buying that. They need Jeremy Howe to win it.
Oh, wow.
I think they need one of Howe or Frampton back there with Darcy Moore. I think they were way too light on with Tools last week.
You would never think going into this year, and it's a credit to how Billy Frampton's played, that you would be saying they need Billy Frampton.
He's just a reliable key defender. I think he can compete with the biggest guys in the game because of his size, and he shows that he can do a job on that opponent. So I think both of them being out really cost the Pies against Brisbane.
And they don't have anybody that can fit the athletic profile of Jeremy Howe. Even at this stage of his career, he's still got springs that they can't replace.
What about this one? Do you think this is a knee-jerk reaction? Now, you've said that they can't win without Jeremy Howe. Pre-round 21, Collingwood at $4.50. Post-round 21, after that loss to Brisbane, $6. It's quite a big shift at this stage of the season.
It is, but I can see why. Brisbane are the best team in it, and they've just beaten Collingwood for the first time since 2014 on the MCG. They beat Hawthorn, they come straight back into maybe $5, I would have thought. So I don't think there's any issue there. You're just getting a better price if Jeremy Howe plays.
Yeah, I think they're at risk of potentially missing the top four, so that obviously would slide their Premiership odds out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've got concerns about them in the top 4 as well, but that price is very tempting. I'm not sure they deserve to be pushed out that far.
You think?
Do they beat Hawthorn?
Yeah, I think they will. If they don't, then
trouble.
Real trouble.
I think
Barney Rubble.
He's just
they
trying
miss the top 4 if they don't win against Hawthorn.
I think he's trying to bait a positive comment about Collingwood out of you.
I think
quite hard at this point.
I like Scott Pendlebury as a person.
What about, I'll tell you who seems like a good bloke as well as a good player, Jordan Dawson. Any nibbles on Jordan Dawson in the Brownlow markets at all from you guys?
We may as
I
well
think he'd be
ask Mr.
close.
Brownlow.
I think he's very close. Top 3 at the moment. Definitely, I would have thought All-Australian captain.
Yeah.
He kicks goals as well, which polls well. If you play inside mid and you hit the scoreboard, we all know with umpires, they love the look of that, which draws their attention, gives them 3 votes.
And we know how reliable umpires as well are. When you play a good game, you're almost definite to get 3 votes or 2 votes. They're very, very
He only
reliable.
had 21 on the weekend, 2 goals, but it was impact. He gets 3 votes, according to me and my Brownlow tracker on the weekend.
Has the benefit of being an inside mid who's very good overhead, which always stands out. He can go forward, take big marks.
What about this one? Maybe a controversial one, but Kate, I think you got some interesting points on this. Aaron Naughton will get an All-Australian blazer.
I'm not saying he will get an All-Australian blazer, but it might be a question that you think absolutely not. But without analysing it, you look into it and you think, OK, well, who else is going to get that key forward role? You've got Jeremy Cameron, Jesse Hogan, who was on Who's Not out of Who's Hot, so he's not in great form at the moment. You've got Jamie Elliott, who will get the small spot. You've got Jordan Dawson, the man we just picked out. Cozzy Pickett potentially there or on the bench. Who gets the other key tall? Is it Mitch Georgiades? Is it Aaron Naughton? Is it someone else? But I think he has the recency bias as well. We know how good the end of the season for him has been. I think he's a chance.
He's a live chance. It'd be a surprise to me because he was pretty ordinary for the first 8 weeks of the season. Like when you mean ordinary, he was on the cusp of being dropped out of the side.
He's playing a different game, I believe it was described.
He's a different person right now. I don't know what that was the first 8 weeks, but he is just about the best forward in the competition right now outside Jeremy Cameron.
What about, yes or no to you, Carlton will get over the Suns for an upset this week?
No.
No. I think someone was on the Zaza when they wrote that one out. It's been a fantastic one. We will see you again on Thursday.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.